Hello, welcome. I'm coming to you today from the other side of my bedroom. I always wonder when I am watching a video or Zoom, what's behind the person or what's behind the screen that they're looking at. So today you get to see what I'm usually looking at when I am taping these. And not coincidentally, today is about a change of perspective. It's Sunday, and Sunday is the day of resurrection. It is, for Christians, the day of rest. For the Jewish faith, it's Saturday, which is a little bit different, but there are all kinds of theological reasons that I do and don't understand about that. The point of it all is Sunday is a day for reordering, for reorienting. And in the sermon that I was lucky to hear today, I didn't preach, it was talking about John 20, the resurrection narrative there, and how Jesus came to his disciples on the first day of the week. And Thomas was absent the first time. And then a week later, again on the first day of the week, Jesus came again. And so that week rhythm is not only written in the Genesis story, not only really written in our bodies. I don't know if you've heard the story. In the Industrial Revolution, they tried to switch, or some country tried to switch to a 10-day week to be a tens denominator. And horses and people and all kinds of things started dropping dead because they needed more than a break once every 10 days. The point of all of this is that every Sunday during this Easter healing series, I will offer a yin yoga practice. Yin yoga is a specific type of practice that's very still, that's really about being with quietness. In a world that is loud, in our heads that are loud and running around, it can be really antithetical to sit still and choose to not move. And that's part of what I love about yin. The postures that we'll take are meant to be just a little bit uncomfortable. They're meant to be the kind of discomfort that if you felt your ear itching, you would get up and itch it. Not something that's painful, but just enough discomfort to be a challenge to stay still. So that's the work of yin yoga. And so every Sunday, I will be inviting you to join me in this stillness, this quiet practice that perhaps will help, we hope, to reset you for the week, reset me for the week. There's a collect, a collecting prayer. They're called collects in the Book of Common Prayer, which is a book of prayers and the way to pray for Anglican Christians throughout the world. I'm an Episcopalian. Episcopalian is Anglican. And the Sunday prayer says something like, "May our worship of you this day be so wonderful, glorious, that the week to come may be spent in your favor, Lord." And it reminds me of how giving God that first day, setting up a different rhythm, that first day of the week, continues to have an effect through the rest of the week. So that's what we'll work on, this change of perspective, this being quiet. Know that your mind will get loud and antsy And that's okay. That is expected, and we'll just work through it together. So, if you want to grab a few pillows from your bed, I'm actually sitting on a folded up blanket today. That's one of my favorite things to sit on. You might have a bolster, I don't know, or different comforting items, or a box that might help you lean your weight into something while you're in a still posture. So gather those up, just some blanket, a pillow or two, your yoga mat if you have one, and we'll join there. You actually don't even need a, I'm also doing yoga in all jeans. One of the kind of limits that I also often put on myself is, I'm not wearing the right clothes. I can't do any yoga. Oh, well, I'll just practice another time. So I've been purposely wearing my street clothes to do yoga with these videos, to teach and train myself, and hopefully to invite you to just sit down and connect with your body, whatever it is you're wearing. So here's what we're going to do first, is we are just sitting on the ground with our legs out in front of us. If you want to pull up your pants, or how do we say this gently? Move some of the flesh out of the way on your seat so that your bones really have a nice steady spot to plug into the ground. That's totally cool. And our first posture is just going to be folding forward. One of the beautiful things about yin is that we're not meant to keep a straight, flat back, or to be in any particular, hold ourselves in any particular way. It's just slumping, really. So, slump with me, if you would. We're just going to begin to melt yourself forward over your legs, any amount. And the work of yin is to be in a posture, find an edge, which is to say, find a place where you feel a little bit of sensation, that kind of itch behind your ear. Feel a little bit of sensation. I feel it a lot in my hamstrings, all along my hamstrings here. And then just sit there with it. This has been one of the biggest tools for me in learning to sit in uncomfortable pastoral situations, or uncomfortable Zoom meetings, or whatever uncomfortable situation I might find myself in, that I use this space and this time in yin yoga to show myself that I can sit with something uncomfortable. So if you have a pillow, you might even want to put it on top of your legs, depending how far you're leaned over. And just melt into the pillow. This will allow you to not hold yourself up as much. That's one of the things in yin yoga, is that you're supposed to just let go of effort as much as you can. So settle yourself down, and we'll stay here for 10 breaths. This is slow. If your mind gets anxious or you feel itchy, just remind yourself that it's normal, and that's okay, and that's what your brain does. But right now, we're going to sit still, brain, and come back to the breath. You may want to scan through your body and see if there are any places where you're holding yourself, holding your muscles, maybe in your shoulders or your jaw. And in this pose, you definitely don't need to hold your shoulders or your jaw. You can let those places go. You may find after you've been there for a few breaths that there's no sensation in your feet or legs anymore. And that might mean that you're ready to move a little bit deeper. So you're welcome to readjust and find stillness again. We'll stay here for 5 more breaths. And then as you're ready to come up out of this posture, we're going to do it slowly. Just build up, imagine one vertebrae at a time, coming to rest upon the next one. Maybe using your arms to help you. Take a few breaths here. In the gospel passage for this week, it also talks about how when Jesus comes to see his disciples, he breathes on them and says, "Receive the Holy Spirit." We hear more of that story in Acts, but in this John's gospel, we recognize how when in the beginning God breathed into the nostrils, breathed life into the nostrils of the humans that he created. Jesus breathes life again, the indwelling Holy Spirit, onto his disciples when he appears to them. I've come into butterfly pose here with my knees out to the sides. I'm just massaging my feet a little bit. One of the things that I find that I tend to forget or neglect are my precious feet. Our feet carry us around all day long. They keep us balanced. They keep us upright. And so all of these precious tiny little muscles and bones and tendons in our blood vessels in our feet do so much important work in the skin and the toenails. So sometimes it can feel good to just knead them a little bit, give them a little bit of love. As you're ready, you can bring your hands to your feet if they reach that way. We're going to do another folding forward posture, and that is going to be this butterfly pose. So you can melt out over your feet any amount. You can bring your fingers down and begin to rest and relax into this shape. You may be up like this, And one thing that you might want to try, and I don't have in front of me right now, but is a low coffee table like this, or the seat of a chair, or I do have this, let me grab this real fast. A laundry basket. So you could come into butterfly pose or any other pose like we're forward folding, and then use low coffee table or a laundry basket or whatever seems to be about the right height. Stack your arms up on it and then begin to melt forward. You might bring your forehead to rest on your arms, and that might be a really great spot and stretch for you today. So those are some options. So we'll melt into this posture and hold it again for about 10 breaths. It's a long hold, but some postures or some practitioners or sequences in yin will actually hold a posture for up to 5 minutes. So it can get really deep and really long. So we're just doing a little teaser here. And after your 10th cycle of breath, again, gently, slowly begin to bring yourself back up to seated. I sometimes struggle with low blood pressure, and so coming straight up can really jostle my brain. So it's good to do all of these poses slowly. We're going to move into a few postures that are more open. We've done some forward folds, some looking in, and now we're going to do some opening up. So you might want to grab, if you have a block, but that's kind of a specialty item. So you could also grab a book or a few books, some nice thick books. They're almost exactly the same size. So here's what we're going to do first. I think it'll be easier for you to see if I show you from the side. So you'll lay down, bring your feet up close to your hips, and then we're going to take these books and put them right underneath your sacrum. If you want it to be a taller stack, you're totally welcome to do that. But even just two books provide a really great way of reversing some of the usual gravity and circulation in your body, and really do start to open up your body. So you might even want to spread your arms out to the side a little bit. And if it helps your legs to relax more, you can heel toe your feet out a little bit and bring your knees together to lean on one another. It's a sort of modified, supported bridge pose. Allow yourself to settle into this posture. Inhale and exhale. And when your mind starts to think thoughts and try to draw your attention to the stories it wants to tell you, as I tell my 4-year-old, you can talk in a minute. I'm working on something now. So you can tell your precious mind that is so busy about so many things, you can talk in a minute. I'm working on something now. What we're working on right now is paying attention to the breath. The breath, as I've said, is a symbol of God's animating energy in our bodies. And what we've chosen to do for the next few minutes is to pay attention only, all, to that breath, to God's presence in our lives. We'll take 3 more breaths here. And if in any of these postures you feel really uncomfortable, you're always, of course, welcome to skip them. Or if any of the postures feel really, really yummy and you don't want to stop, you can always stop the video and come back, or you can just stop the video and not come back and stay in that posture longer, or you can always come back to it. I've just pulled in my knees and I'm rolling a little bit side to side, massaging that sacrum, the bottom part of my spine. And then we're going to come into one last yin posture for today. I'm going to grab my blanket. This is just like a throw blanket size. And I folded it to be, 2.5 feet along. Now I'm going to roll it up into a roll, taquido. And I'm going to place that about a third of the way up, down, up, a third of the way into my mat. And then I'm going to lay down on it with the roll right below my arms. So I'm going to lay my arms out, and it's going to be right along my back below there. So it's going to look like this. My head is on the mat or on the floor. Oh, my chest is open. My spine is curved in a different direction than it usually is because the ribs are being kind of forced up toward the sky. It's opening my chest, opening my collarbones. And I just have my feet laying down along the mat. If it feels better for you, you could have them a little bit wider if that feels yucky on your low back. Another option would be to have your knees up and your feet down and your knees together like that. You can try and see what feels good for your hips and your low back. And we'll take a few breaths here. Noticing how the breath feels in this really open posture. Maybe scanning your body, finding if there are any places holding on that need to release. My shoulders were holding themselves up, and there's just nothing in this pose that I need to hold on to. I'm just laying on the ground. And then as you're ready, we're going to come into our last posture. Just gently remove that folded blanket and release yourself back down to the mat. If it feels all right with your body, let your feet stretch along the floor, your legs out straight, your arms out straight. In this, what we call corpse pose, Shavasana. At the end of a practice, it's our pose to help reset ourselves, to let ourselves let go the death of the practice. That's why it's called corpse pose. Recognizing that every practice has its rhythm, every week has its rhythm, every body has its rhythm. And we are called to surrender to it. There's another collecting prayer in the Book of Common Prayer that says that our rest here upon earth, I think it's the collect for Saturdays, our rest here upon earth may be a window, an image, a practice of our eternal rest in heaven. And then as you feel ready, begin to bring movement back to your body, moving your fingers and toes, your wrists and your ankles, then stretching into your arms and your legs, drawing your knees up to your chest and turning to one side. And then as you're ready, bring yourself all the way up to a comfortable seat. Thank you all so much for joining me. May this week be full of the peace of Christ, which dwells in you. Have a good week.